Whenever I talk with people about Marvel Rivals, I either hear, I love that game, I play it so much, or Marvel Rivals is overwhelming. When I hear overwhelming, I like to see how much they have played Marvel Rivals and how much experience with this style of game they have. What I find is generally, they're almost always new players and have never touched an objective based hero shooter game before. Because I care about this game a lot, I asked them what feels overwhelming. After a few of these discussions, I figured it might be a good idea to gather my suggestions for new players to hopefully make this game less overwhelming. The more you can understand what is going on, the more fun you can have with the game. It's not fun engaging someone you think is Invisible Woman, only for it to be Cloak and Dagger, but you don't realize until after they swapped into Cloak, and by that point, you probably lost the fight. It's even less fun winning a team fight only to lose the game because you got off the objective. Hopefully, these tips will help you understand the game more. The first tip, which might seem very basic at first glance, is to learn the hero before going into a quick play match. What makes hero shooters so special is every hero has different abilities and keybinds. A lot of the time, the icon in game isn't good enough to indicate what your ability does. Additionally, some heroes have resources that build and get used through abilities. Spending some time to go through the hero screen and read the descriptions of the abilities will help immensely. A step beyond that, which I always do, is to spend a few seconds quizzing myself on the keybinds to make sure I know which button to hit when I want to do an ability. After you read the abilities, load up the practice range and go and see how they feel to use. When trying out my abilities in the practice range, I ask a few questions. How much damage does it feel like my primary and secondary fire does? If I'm a support, how much does it feel like the healing does? Do I have a way to rapidly pocket heal or not? Do you have any other damage abilities, and how do they feel to use? How far does your movement ability take you? If you have a hover ability, how long does that last? If you have any crowd control abilities like Mantis Sleep, Luna Freeze, Penny Webs, how does that feel to use? What does the travel time feel like? Any delay on casting? Any strange travel patterns to note? By asking yourself these questions as you use your abilities, you will start to figure out which scenarios your abilities are good in and which they are not. After this, if you have an easier hero, feel free to go into quick play, but if you're picking something like Wolverine, doing a match, two, or a few against AIs to get the abilities and combo timing down is a very good idea. By spending time learning your hero, practicing the abilities, and learning the timing of combos, your gameplay will feel more intuitive and make the game less overwhelming. Additionally, looking up a character specific guide after you have 30 minutes to 1 hour of playtime is a great way to expedite your learning, as often abilities have a little more going on than what the game explains on the hero screen. The second tip is to look at the game settings. Yes, I understand you got the latest gen console or the newest graphics card and processor and want to run everything on max. But sadly, that's not the norm in competitive games. Outside of the obvious, higher settings increases computer usage, which increases the chance of dropped frames. Having higher settings does two other less talked about things, which I feel are just as important, if not more important. First, it has a chance of changing the terrain. I don't know how useful this is on Rivals as there is no foliage to reduce the density of, but in concept, this means that running at higher settings could show more terrain, hiding enemies you would normally see, or making you think you are hidden when you're out in the open on a lower setting game. The second, more important thing is having higher settings increases the amount of things going on your screen and TV at once. By reducing the settings, you can reduce the particle effects and some other screen clutter, making the game look a lot less overwhelming during the gameplay. Besides reducing your settings, I'd also recommend taking a look at the crosshair settings. You can fully customize this to your liking, pick a simple design that catches your eye, and you can make it a color that will be easier to see. The last thing I recommend checking out is the colorblind settings. Yes, I know, you probably are not colorblind. If you are colorblind, you probably already knew this exists. But it can be extremely useful for non colorblind people as you can pick the colors that highlight your team, the enemy team, your teammates' health bars, the enemy team health bars, as well as the shields. By picking colors that stand out from the terrain and don't clash with character models, you should be able to distinguish what's going on in combat a lot easier. The third thing I recommend is to learn as many heroes as possible as early as possible. I'm not saying play a different hero each game. It probably will take you a few hours to be comfortable on a single hero. But after you feel comfortable on a hero, pick a new one to start the learning process over again. Try to not only learn heroes in your chosen role, but learn heroes across different roles. While one tricking will get you really good at a single hero and might allow you to win a lot of matches, learning multiple heroes has many upsides. As you learn to play the heroes, you will get countered by enemies, allowing you to better understand the strengths and weaknesses of each hero. The more heroes you play, the more counters you will understand, as well as ways to avoid getting countered. This will make you even better at your main. The more roles you play, the more you understand how the roles interact with each other. This will make you become a better teammate, knowing not only how you interact with your team, but also how your team will interact with you. It also allows you to become better at your chosen role. As a support main, when I play flankers, I learn a lot about the shortcuts through the map, allowing me to get more effective lines of sight on my flankers. When I play tank, I learn not only how each tank hero wants to play, but also will get used to when it's a good idea to get aggressive as a tank. This allows me to time my stronger heals for the pushes, as well as catch heals on my dive tanks on their retreat. Lastly, having a decent number of heroes you are comfortable with allows you to fill different team compositions. Rather than getting mad no one picked a support or tank, you will have many different supports and tanks you can make a meaningful impact with. Additionally, it prevents you from getting mad when someone picks your hero and becoming that teammate that goes 0-16 on a DPS character. The coolest thing to me about learning new heroes, outside of the knowledge you gain, making your games easier to understand, is the achievements they've added to the game. Each hero has 2 achievements requiring you to use them in a unique way. As you learn heroes, you have a chance to get those done without focus on achievement hunting. This will also give you the currency to buy cosmetics, as well as 2 skins at different thresholds. At this point, I'm specifically playing heroes to get achievements done, but I got a ton of blue currency and a storm skin by passively getting achievements while learning different heroes. Fourth, I would highly recommend to play with friends who have experience in objective-based shooter games, especially if this is your first time in the genre. I remember my first few months on Overwatch. It was so hard to balance achieving the objective while also eliminating the enemy. I would get dragged into chases, off the objective, getting kills but losing the match. Spending years playing only team deathmatches, it took a decent bit of time to condition myself away from that playstyle. Playing with friends who are used to the objective has 2 main benefits, besides playing with friends is fun. The first is, if they have experience with the objective, they will be more likely to focus the objective as you break your deathmatch mentality. The second, if they're good friends and teammates, they should be reminding you of the objective. Things like, don't push them, tap the point, or don't get too aggressive, we need to stay with the payload, will really help you learn this style of game. If you want help learning the objective, give your friends a heads up like, hey, I'm new to this style of game. If you see me get off the point when we should be focusing the point, can you please remind me? Yes, there are some situations where falling off the point or playing off the point to push later is beneficial. However, you shouldn't really worry about that as you start off. If your team is engaged in a fight on the point, you should be there with them, so getting reminders is very helpful. Even after hundreds of hours on Overwatch and 100+ hours on Rivals, my friends and I still have to remind each other. We got objective, let's fall back. Communications make teamwork possible. If you don't have friends who play this game, there are a few options. Join the official Discord for the game. There are people grouping there all the time, it seems. Find a stream community, join their Discord, and meet people to play with. If you encounter someone in a match you got along with, send them a friend request and a message. Make sure when you are new to the game and getting friends, you let them know you are new and learning. This will give you some grace as you make mistakes. If you give them a warning and they are mean to you while you learn, unfriend them, block them if necessary, and find other people to play with. The fifth and final piece of advice is going to be the simplest, but the most important. Play, 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 play. Just play the game as much as possible. You will lose as you learn. Even once you've learned a hero and you start to learn others, you will lose again. But the more you play, the more you will increase your overall understanding of the game, what everything looks like, and how everything interacts. Over time, it will be easier for your brain to process everything going on, and you should feel less overwhelmed. Hopefully, these tips helped you. If you have anything I left out that you think will be useful, please, please, please throw it in the comments down below. Lastly, if you made it this far, I want to thank you so much. Please subscribe and hit that like button to help my channel grow. Much love. Peace out.